Hello, and welcome to Your Sparkly Brand. We're here to inspire and empower entrepreneurs just like you. This podcast is all about delivering no fluff, high value content that helps you to grow your business. Doesn't matter if you have no budget and you're still DIYing everything on your own, we're giving you the tips, tools, and strategies that you need to build a sparkly empire. I'm Megan Gersh, your resident branding and website designer, and I'm here with my co-host and copywriting queen, Lauren Tassi. Hey, Lauren, how's it going?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Very, very well.
Yeah. How was your week? What's your sparkly moment?
So this week I went to this event for creators, which is kind of funny because we haven't really had a lot of these types of events because of the pandemic, but in the past 2 weeks gone to 3 different events. But anyway, I went to this one event and I got recognized for the first time, from TikTok. And this guy was super nice. He was like, "Oh my God, I think I've seen you on TikTok before. I've learned so much from your marketing tips and stuff like that." So that was really cool to meet somebody in real life and just to be kind of reminded that I feel like a lot of the time when we're creating these assets for our business and kind of just churning out content, that it's a good reminder that somebody else is on the other side of the screen, and it feels good that people are receiving it the way that you intend.
Yeah, especially I would imagine you get a lot of comments from people. They're haters, and then there's people that are just trying to engage or just trying to promote their own thing. And you forget that there's so many people who just maybe don't comment, and those are the people you're really helping, and they're silent because they're the ones actually absorbing what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the case with this person. Was just I'd never seen them comment on any of my stuff. I'd never heard from them before. And there's just so many people that just consume and don't engage. And it's just wild. It's cool to be able to make that impact on people.
Oh, yeah. Well, that sounds amazing.
Yeah. What about you?
So my thing, I recently went through sort of my packages, my big offers. And I was like, you know what? I feel like this one, people are never really interested in. Let me tweak it. Let me take this out. I don't really want to do this service anyway. So I was tweaking some of them, and I just created a brand new one because I always see clients asking for well, we need help with our brand story, which that's great. But in terms of a deliverable, it's not a deliverable. So what I did is I just created a package that's an about page and social media bios and a mission statement and a tagline. It's deliverables that I can actually help you create a brand story with, but here's what you do with it. And I created this package last week, and then I had a call with the client at the end of the week, and they immediately were yes, let's do this. So it feels good to just be oh, I found a need, and here's how, we always talk about that, but to actually do it yourself and see it in action is pretty exciting.
Oh, that's so awesome. I'm going to keep that in mind because that does come up with folks that I chat with also. So good to know.
Yeah. I think just sort of being people don't know what they need. They know what they want, but they don't know what they need. So
awesome.
Yeah. So let's get into our topic for today. And we are talking about CEO days. These are important because it gives you an opportunity to step back from the day-to-day tasks you can get wrapped up in and really focus on the big picture stuff that moves your business forward. Everyone can do them differently. There's no right or wrong way to do them. You could do them once a week, once a month, or once a year. Meg and I kind of each have different ways we're doing it. She's just started implementing them. I am not great about doing them when I should do them, but I do have a process at least for it. So we're going to sort of each share our perspective on them. So let me kick things off. I do mine. I schedule mine once a quarter, and I really try to stick with them. I was supposed to do it on Friday, but I just moved it to this coming Friday. I'm going to do it. It's so hard to just move it to another day. Don't do that. That's the number one rule, non-negotiable. You can move it if you need to, but you just want to make it happen within a week or two because it's just so easy to let it go by and then you haven't made any progress in that area. Put it in your calendar, block yourself off as busy so you can't have calls scheduled. And also if you have, if I have my writers, let them know, oh, I'm not, going to be reachable on Friday. If you need something, let me know ahead of time. Let your team know you're not going to be available because you're going to be focused on the big stuff, not the solving tiny problems that maybe people could figure out themselves. So my first thing is to change up my location. This isn't a weekly thing. So mine might feel kind of over the top and extravagant, but that's kind of the idea, is to really lean into the feeling of being a wealthy CEO. Even if you're not quite there yet, and changing up your location is a great way to do that. It could be as simple as going to a coffee shop. You go to your favorite restaurant, work from there. One of the things I haven't done, but I've always thought about doing is getting a co-working space, a day pass to somewhere, just because those places always have lots of great energy and they make you feel you're really, surrounded by creativity. You could stay in a hotel, just book a nice room somewhere and work from your laptop laptop in bed, if that sounds good. The point is to feel wealthy and like whatever makes you feel, your best. You could also do like a park or a beach or something. You don't have to spend money. It doesn't have to be that crazy. And you might not even need Wi-Fi. A lot of it is really about self-reflection. So if you're at the beach and you don't have great Wi-Fi, that's okay. You could also find like a cute studio or like even look on Peerspace or something. It's like whatever like gets you excited is a good sign that like that's someplace you should go for a few hours and be the CEO you want to be. Another thing that's important is to disconnect from your daily to-dos. Like maybe you don't even need to check your email that day. Maybe you can just, turn off the notifications. Don't just like scroll to scroll. Really set yourself up to be that CEO who doesn't do the daily tasks. It's only CEO level activities. For me, this means like it also doesn't have to be like, okay, well, we're balancing all the numbers. It can be like reading a book that you find inspiring, attending a webinar, or like watching a course you're a part of, just like really that sort of like stuff that makes your brain feel like you are in charge. You could also like have lunch with a mentor or a friend or somebody that, just makes you feel abundant. And one of the big things for me when I'm doing it is the sort of journaling and the visualizing the future for my business. You want to reflect on what's working right now and what has room for improvement. You can look at this in number, like money in, money out. You can look at it as like time. There's all sorts of different ways to do it. And you want to set a vision for the next 1 year, 5 year, 10 years. And it can be like as big and crazy as you want. Like the point is to dream. The point is to really jump in and like feel that feeling. And then vision setting and goal setting to me are two different things. Vision is something less tangible. Maybe it's not super measurable. A goal is measurable. It's like, well, I want to make this amount of money in the next year. The point is to work backwards and go, okay, well then how much money do I need to make every quarter? And then you can set goals for every 90 days. And again, you can do this with money. You can do this with like how many hours you want to be working. Maybe you want to bring on some more team members in the next year. You want to have a certain number of clients. It's whatever metrics matter to you in your business. And so you can do this through visualization. You could even there's like meditations you can find, just take a walk, go for a hike. Disconnecting from like your computer is probably the best way to do this, and journaling longhand. My mentor has gave me some questions to ask myself during these times. And so I'll share these now. One of them is, am I working at the top of my skill set? Is this a $15 an hour task, a $50 task, a $100 an hour task? Another one is, what is energizing me and what is draining me? Am I doing this because it's moving the needle forward in alignment with my values and goals? Or am I doing this because I feel like I should be doing this? And then another one, especially this one is like specifically for me, but I'm sure a lot of people can take it, is what is perfectionism protecting me from? Because that's the thing that is always like holds me back from just like getting workout, just doing something. It's just that perfectionism. So then a couple other elements that I always add to my CEO days are to treat myself. A nice lunch, you could get a massage or a facial or like a pedicure, something you enjoy doing that again makes you feel special. I used to work in corporate life and I would watch like my boss go on a retreat or watch the CEOs go on a retreat. And when you don't like have a business or even just like a holiday lunch or whatever, you kind of have to do that for yourself. So I was thinking about, oh, well, what would they be doing on their CEO day? Because if I can picture that multi-million-dollar CEO, it makes it a lot easier to be like, okay, this is what I should be doing. And then once you have a team, I highly recommend adding a team day as well, once a quarter. And you can kind of do the same thing. Even if you're like remote, you could, buy people lunch through DoorDash or just, make your team feel supported in the same way you do for yourself.
The way that I have been taught how to do CEO days is a little bit different. So as I mentioned on previous episodes, have been learning from Rachel Cook. So this is a little bit of her method. Again, I'm still very new to CEO days, so I will explain what I have been doing. But essentially, you want to have a weekly CEO date with yourself, kind of get a bird's eye view of everything that's going on with your business and check in on certain things to make sure that they're on track. The first thing that you want to take a look at is your finances. So taking a look at what are your goals for this quarter? Are you on track to hit those goals? Like, do you need to take on another client or two in order to really ramp up that revenue? It doesn't have to be super complicated, but it does help to kind of keep tabs on like, if you're going to hit that goal for the quarter. As far as some other tasks that I would recommend taking a look at, the first one would be your marketing strategy. So taking a look at like how you are attracting different clients, engaging with them, nurturing them, as well as inviting them to work with you, and also how you are delighting them. So, attract marketing might look like something like putting out a TikTok post or putting out an Instagram post. Engaging with them might look like, responding to comments. When it comes to nurturing, this is, people that already know, like, and trust us, but how are we like building that relationship with them? So So this might look like sending out an email blast or something of that nature. Inviting them to work with us is obviously making that ask. Like, we are a business. And I think that that is one of the hardest things as business owners is to remember to invite people to work with us. A lot of the time, we're just so focused on like giving value all the time with tips and tricks and all of that kind of good stuff. But if we're not actually inviting them to work with us, like oftentimes people will not even know that those services exist. And when it comes to delighting folks, this might look like if you've just finished up work with a client, like sending them a little gift in the mail or, turning your projects in a little bit early to, meet those needs and to really delight those clients. So taking a look at each component of your marketing strategy, making sure that you are hitting each of those pillars. And if you aren't, putting a strategy in place to fulfill one of those needs. This is also a great time to take a look at your social media metrics. If you have goals around, certain milestones that you want to hit within the quarter, see if you're on track, see where you might need some work. Same thing goes for your email list. I also take a little bit of time in the CEO day to take note of like what strategies work. So let's say, for example, I put out 14 TikTok posts this week. Maybe there were 2 within those 14 that really, really hit. I would just make a note within my notes that those particular posts were winners. And so that'll give me an indication of like, maybe I can remake those posts in some way, or I can repurpose that content down the line. Rachel also makes it a point to make sure that we're scheduling in weekly self-care. So I know you touched on this a little bit, but life before business is really, really important to her. It's one of the things that kind of drew me to her as a coach, but making sure that we are always taking care of ourselves, filling our own cup before we are coming to work. So, making sure that we are planning for specific self-care each week. This doesn't have to be complicated. This could be taking yourself to coffee in the morning, one morning or something like that, going to the park, working on one of your hobbies, but just making sure that you're carving out a little bit of time each week so that you are, pampering yourself a little bit. You also want to take a look at what days off you might be taking that week. So obviously the week that we're recording this right now, we're coming off the 4th of July holiday weekend. So a lot of businesses were out of the office at that time. That's something that I accounted for in my business as well. And so making sure that if you do have an off day, just making sure that your schedule is kind of planned around that. And something that kind of goes hand in hand with that as well is just taking a look at your weekly calendar. So what is coming up on your schedule? Do you have calls booked? And kind of prioritizing what is on the calendar for that week. Rachel also talks about, I know you mentioned this, Lauren, but like there are different dollar amounts like associated with different types of tasks. Rachel has a similar system where she does $10 tasks, $100 tasks, $1,000 tasks, as well as $10,000 tasks. So $10 tasks might look like something like, billing, scheduling, social media, that kind of thing. Whereas $100 tasks are a little bit higher level, writing newsletters, you might be editing a podcast, that kind of thing. When we get into $1,000 tasks, that might look like having your CEO date on the calendar, writing your sales page or writing direct sales copy. It's very much related to how you're going to make sales in your business. And when we get to the $10,000 mark, we're talking about how we are making sales at scale. So that might look like teaching a webinar or doing public speaking, but it is essentially getting your message out to a mass amount of people. Something I would also recommend doing is I know you mentioned this, Lauren, too, but if you have a team in place, briefly to meet with them during this time. So, go over what's working, what isn't working, and also cover where they might need support. So this weekly system, I found it to be extremely helpful. Again, I've only done it for a short period at this point, but it's been really, really helpful to me just because it allows you to kind of keep tabs on the metrics and make sure that you are on track to meet your goals for that quarter as well as in the year. And it also helps you to kind of keep your sanity. And like, I'm really bad about kind of upholding like my self-care. It's like a thing that I kind of put on the back burner a lot of the time. And so this is a system that has really kind of held me accountable for that component of my life and my business. But just to kind of finish this out here, some advice if you want to implement these weekly CEO days. I always find that Monday is like a really great time to kind of knock this out. First thing on Monday, block it in your calendar and just stick to it. And one thing that really kind of gets me excited for it too is just to make sure that you're setting the vibe. So, like you said, if you wanted to take this to a coffee shop, go somewhere fun, go to the park, go outside, but really making sure that the vibe vibe is set so that you are enjoying this time, that it's something that you look forward to. So that way, you actually stick to it in your calendar and make sure that it is something that will help your business.
Yeah, I love all of that. I feel like the subtitle for this one is gonna be like, it's a vibe. That's really what it is it's like stepping into that role and sort of moving away from the day-to-day work, which is just so easy to get sucked into.
Yeah. I mean, one of the big like realizations that I have made recently is just like having team in place for some of those lower level tasks is going to be a game changer for business. And I'm like currently in that transition now where I'm like bringing on certain contractors to work with me like on a more ongoing basis. And I just really think this is going to be like a shift into that CEO direction where I can like really focus on like the bigger kind of vision type things in the business.
Yeah, I think it's so hard too to just let go of that stuff. But when you see it on paper like that, you go, you know what, this is a $10 an hour task and it's $10. If somebody screws it up, that's fine. I can fix it,
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, that is our episode. So your task for today, of course, is to go look at your calendar and book yourself a CEO day right now. It could be once a week or even once a year. The important thing is to commit to it and follow through when that day arrives. So if you enjoyed this episode, we'd love it if you left us a 5-star review wherever you listen to podcasts. And thanks so much for listening. Until next time, stay sparkly.